Kirby games and me seem to have this weird thing where whenever I'm doing a Kirby review, I'm going through a different transitionary period in my life. I mentioned in the Kirby Triple Deluxe review that when I first played the game, I was first going to college for my undergraduate degree, and I was ending up about to finish my master's degree. And now, 4 years later, I'm doing the Planet Robobot review, and I am going about with my new career path, about to go into a new chapter of that in a few days, and I'm here talking about Kirby again. But hey, we're more interested in Kirby than about my job careers, right? So, Kirby Planet Robobot, created and developed by HAL Laboratories and published by Nintendo in 2016 for the Nintendo 3DS, this one marked the third game in the Return to Dreamland formula style of games. So, did Kirby Planet Robobot hit the mark with its third entry in a similar gameplay style? Honestly, I would say definitely. This probably has some of the best gameplay out of all of the Kirby games, bar none. And we'll get into that in a bit, but first, let's get into probably what I find to be the weakest aspect of Kirby Planet Robobot, and that is its story. Which, it's not bad, but compared to the previous game that I liked more, it leaves a lot to be desired. Our story begins with Planet Popstar enjoying a nice peaceful day when it is suddenly invaded by the Haltman Works Company and their Access Arc. The Access Arc begins to dock onto Planet Popstar and roboticize the planet, stealing its natural resources in order to increase profits for the Haltman Works Company. The Haltman Works Company's initial excursion onto Planet Popstar are attempted to be stopped by two Planet Popstar residents, those being King Dedede and his castle, and the Halberd and Meta Knight trying to stop it from causing any more harm than they already have. Unfortunately, being both outgunned and outpowered, both Dedede and Meta Knight are taken out of the picture, with Meta Knight being captured by the Haltman Works Company and experimented on and turned into Mecha Knight in order to become a security guard for the company's main forces. While Dedede is taken out of the picture entirely for the rest of the game, because this game is going to focus more on Meta Knight this time rather than on Dedede like it was in the last game. So sorry Dedede, you'll have your time to shine in the next game. Now, we don't get much of the company for Haltman Works until we are introduced to Susie in World 3, after Kirby wakes up from his nap and realizes, hey, my planet's been invaded again, I better go and stop that. Susie is the executive assistant for the Haltman Works Company's president and CEO, Haltman. Haltman himself is not revealed until the end of the game because Susie is supposed to be taking care of the invasion process for the planet Popstar. Haltman is a generic CEO villain. He is loud, self-sufficient, self-absorbed, and ultimately just wants to increase the profits for his company and make more money. Now, that's not exactly the entire reason for Haltman's desires. We discover, much like how in Triple Deluxe we discovered how Sectonia was corrupted by the Amazing Mirror, that Haltman's entire purpose was originally to try and see his daughter again. But as he began to use the new and improved Star Dream supercomputer that was reactivated after examining different species and races throughout the universe, he ended up becoming corrupted and became more interested in getting more power and money than dealing and having his family put back together again. It's kind of a tragic tale, and it's especially tragic when going into the final boss when you realize, hey, he was trying his best to get his daughter back, but he got overcome by all the greed and wealth that came with it. Now, most of this stuff, again, is only available to you during pause screen dialogue in boss fights, which, hey, if you don't know to look for that in a Kirby game, then you're kind of going to miss out. And one thing that I do like is we end up getting a lot of callbacks to a lot of other Kirby villains, Kirby enemies, and Kirby characters in this game because of Haltman and his Star Dream supercomputer. It's really a nice touch. Heck, we even get a boss fight against Queen Sectonia and see what she originally looked like as she was made as a clone, and it's very depressing. I didn't need to be depressed about that. Please, let Taranza be happy for once. Now, while I do like the more mechanized approach generally in stories for like cyberpunk stuff, I will say that I did enjoy the story of Triple Deluxe a little bit more than I enjoyed the story of Planet Robobot. That's not to say the story of Planet Robobot is bad, but it's something that I think was better handled in Triple Deluxe. Now, I will not say the same for the gameplay of Planet Robobot, however. I will say that the gameplay loop of Kirby Planet Robobot is by far the best aspect of this game, bar none. Not only does it use the new gimmick to its fullest, it makes it that the gimmick isn't limited to specific context situations and can be used in many different ways. What do I mean by this? Well, inside of Planet Robobot, we have the titular Robobot armor. This armor not only allows Kirby to deal massive damage to enemy and bosses when boss fights are available with it, it also allows Kirby to use his copy abilities with the Robobot armor, thus creating a new combination and allowing for new puzzles and new level design to be put into place to accommodate the new powered up Kirby and his Robobot armor. The Robobot armor is an amazing addition to this game. Inside of Planet Robobot, the copy abilities that the armor gets vary depending on which enemy is absorbed, and the design of the Robobot itself ends up changing to accommodate whatever ability you have received. And that's an attention to detail that they didn't need to do, but I absolutely love it. We also have returning abilities that were reworked for the Robobot armor in particular, such as Wheel turning the Robobot armor into a car and using that for levels, or Jet returning from Kirby Superstar, becoming a airplane for the Robobot armor to do in shmup sections, which guess what? You're gonna have to do that in the final boss. Have fun! Not only that, but we have reworked abilities such as Mike, which Mike was once a 3-use ability for Kirby Planet Robobot. In this case, when the Robobot armor absorbs it, it becomes a permanent addition that can cause sound waves that can disrupt enemies and wake them up and cause them to go off screen. It's a nice little detail, to be sure. We also have new copy abilities, because what Kirby game would be a Kirby game without new ones to add in? In this game, we have returning abilities from previous games, such as Circus and Archer returning from the previous game, Triple Deluxe, but we also have new abilities such as Doctor, which was added into this game and would become a mainstay inside of one of the mini games. We also have the new ESP ability, which I like to call Cool Hat, because it allows you to use psychic abilities to defeat enemies. Finally, we also have the new ability of Poison, which replaces water from Kirby Return to Dreamland in terms of its properties and how it functions, but instead causing more damage over time because of the poison cloud, which can be picked up by fans and different level design, which, again, is a nice little touch that this game does. In terms of collectibles, we have similar collectibles to how we handled them inside of Kirby's Return to Dreamland and Kirby Triple Deluxe. In levels, we have the code cubes, which are used to unlock new bosses hidden throughout the stages, which up to 3 or 4 code cubes per level, with more code cubes getting added in at later levels. The code cubes are used to unlock bosses and hidden stages in the game, and are used to replace the Kirby Triple Deluxe Sunstones and the Kirby Return to Dreamland Lore Star Cutter gears. Now, not only that, we also have the new stickers that you can collect inside of stages, as well as rare stickers that you can be placed onside the Robobot armor and do actually show up in cutscenes, which is nice, but I honestly preferred the keychains over the stickers because the keychains had more unique and varied designs, And they didn't fix the problem that Triple Deluxe had with the keychains, in that you could get doubles, triples, quadruples, quintuples of them. Guess what? You can do that with the stickers too. Ain't that just grand? Now, in terms of level design overall, I think Kirby Planet Robobot has the best level design per a 2.5D Kirby game by far. And the mini games, yet again, in Kirby Planet Robobot would become regular 3DS add-on games that you could buy on its own, and even a Switch game in one of them. We have Kirby Clash, which is the Kirby game which was released on the Switch and its own 3DS title on its own, with you going against enemies and a RPG-like mission structure. And then we also have Blowout Blast's initial, I guess, prototype 3D Kirby game that was also made into its own little functionality for Kirby Planet Robobot. We also finally have the Meta Nightmares Revenge mode, which, much like how DDD Tour was on Kirby Triple Deluxe, Meta Nightmare Revenge allows Meta Knight to go through the entirety of Kirby Planet Robobot's story mode missions and play as Meta Knight with a bunch of different abilities and a new boss at the end, as well as the ability to fight with your crew of the Halberd, using 4 different commands at the bottom of the screen. As Meta Knight kills enemies, he gains experience that can be used and spent on healing himself, causing a massive damage attack, summoning his minions in order to attack and nuke everyone on the screen, or some other functionalities that I honestly don't remember too much, because let's be honest, everyone was just using the healing command. Now, not only that, we also have the Arena and the True Arena added into Planet Robobot, much like how it was inside of the previous 2 games and Superstar Ultra before it. The True Arena in this game is definitely the hardest of the True Arenas for Kirby Planet Robobot's little trilogy here. I won't count the next game, Kirby Star Allies, because while its True Arena is probably the hardest one out of all the True Arenas, I will say that the problem with Planet Robobots is that it's long. You are going to spend, at least on the final boss, 10 minutes guaranteed for the last section, because of the final boss's pertinence for doing something that the rest of the game doesn't really do. Which is a shame, but hey, beggars can't be choosers. And overall, if I had to give a good summation of the gameplay of Kirby Planet Robobot, it's this. It's concise, it's to the point, and it's refined to an almost insane degree. And much like that, the music and sound design accompany that very well. The sound design for Kirby Planet Robobot is a lot more bombastic and a more electronic based than it was inside of Triple Deluxe, where Triple Deluxe was more woodwind and string instruments, which are more natural instruments that occur, rather than the rock and guitar themes that are present inside of Kirby Planet Robobot, which is a nice dichotomy between the natural feel of Kirby Triple Deluxe compared to Kirby Planet Robobot. Not only that, but Jun Ishikawa and Hirokazu Ando returned to compose many familiar tracks inside of the Kirby franchise for many of the bosses that return inside of Planet Robobot, but with a Robobot twist to them, which is really nice. More electronic feels to them, and overall, if I had to pick my favorite track in the game, it's probably the track that's playing in the background right now, which is Pink Ball Revolution, the Robobot finale track. It's a great track that just ramps up everything as you're finishing up the game. Not only that, but I enjoy the theme of the final boss, which is Intermezzo Without a Leader, which is the second phase boss theme. And, of course, it wouldn't be a Kirby game if we didn't have a different version of Green Greens playing. But overall, the sound design of Planet Robobot is great. The limited voice acting that is inside of Kirby games always does it a favor, and especially because the developers use their own pets to voice some of the enemies inside of Planet Robobot, with Star Dream being voiced by Shinya Kamazaki's pet cat Tom, and a Weather Vane being voiced by Hirokazu Ando's pet chicken, Nago. Which is something that I always find very cute. I love when developers are able to use their pets inside their projects in order to deliver some of the actual best voice direction inside the game, which is kind of funny. The cat especially. I love that cat meow during the final boss. But overall, the sound design in Planet Robobot is just so good. You will feel your heart pumping as you end up beating up enemies in your Robobot armor, or as you are flying through the air in the Robobot armor, driving around in the car, or just using Kirby in general to beat up enemies. It's just great overall. So this soundtrack definitely gets a plus from me. I like the more natural feel of the woodwind instruments from Kirby Triple Deluxe, but this one is definitely a good soundtrack. Jun Ishikawa and Hirokazu Ando did not disappoint. It goes without saying that you should probably play Kirby Planet Robobot. It's definitely one of the best out of the Return to Dreamland formula, and unfortunately, while it is stuck on the Nintendo 3DS, that doesn't mean it's not readily available, as Kirby Planet Robobot was available digitally and physically for the Nintendo 3DS, up until recently when the 3DS eShop has officially shut down. I'm hoping one day we end up getting a port of Planet Robobot to the Nintendo Switch, or in this case, at this point, the Switch 2 successor, because it's a shame that this game is stuck on the 3DS, because not everyone is comfortable playing a 3DS for long periods of time. That being said, this is definitely a game I recommend playing in general. I had a blast playing it. While I enjoy Triple Deluxe more, this is still a very good game. And anyway, everyone, I'm going to end it off right here. This has been Neronium. I thank you all for watching my review of Kirby Planet Robobot. Hope to see you all for future reviews, and check out the Robobot playthrough if you're interested. Until then, I'll see you all next time.